All right, good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Education Expo webinar as we prepare for Teacher Leader Summit 2024. Here is a quick snapshot of the agenda that we have for today. And again, those of you who have just joined, please drop your name and your affiliation into the chat. We're glad that you joined us this morning. Here are just a few of the high-level topics that we will go through today, and then we will save time for question and answer toward the end of the webinar. You can feel free to drop any of your questions into the chat throughout the time that we are presenting a little bit of information to you, and we will be glad to get those questions answered as we can. And so first, welcome. We are very grateful for you guys, not only for joining the webinar, but for considering to attend and support the Teacher Leader Summit for 2024. For those of you who have joined us before, we welcome you back and are excited to again see you and have you participate in this great event. We appreciate your partnership and know that what you bring and what you provide definitely is welcomed by our attendees and helps to elevate our event and to provide some much needed information and opportunities to our educators across the state. And so we do thank you for sharing your knowledge, your time, and your expertise with us at Teacher Leader Summit. So the 2024 Teacher Leader Summit, I know, drum roll please, the theme of the summit in 2024 is leading the next level. And so we are excited to lead the next level this year for Teacher Leader Summit. The dates of the summit will be May 28th through May 30th. So same dates, kind of post Memorial Day as it's been the past few years. And again, we will have the event at the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center in New Orleans. And so as you all are aware, or maybe not if you're new and here with us for the first time, the Teacher Leader Summit is the annual professional learning conference bringing together Louisiana's educators that educate our children from birth to and through grade 12. And so our educators and content experts participate in this event, knowledge sharing and exchange, learning of new skills, the honing of current skills and crafts. And so really about a thorough preparation for the educators for the 2024-2025 school year. And so we are excited again that we are leading the next level for the 2024 summit, and also excited that the summit in 2024 will be bigger and better than ever. We are looking forward to welcoming 7,500 attendees this year. And so that is a growth of about 25 to 30% that we're looking at over the past few years of summit. So we are growing the summit in terms of attendees and offerings for the 2024 year. So we're definitely excited about that. So when we think about the Education Expo, we just wanted to make sure that we are taking a little bit of time to explain what the Education Expo is. And so the Education Expo is an opportunity for us to connect educators with our high quality professional learning partners, nonprofit organizations, and bringing and sharing best practices through the Expo. And so we strongly encourage and recommend that the persons that we have working the Expo and participating in the booths for our exhibitors are content experts and really have a good feel of the information that we want to have translated to the educators. And so the Education Expo is designed to be something that is not your traditional trade show that would be focused on sales. The focus of the Expo is really to create and cultivate meaningful opportunities and conversations between our partners and our school systems and our educators. And so we don't think about this as a trade show, so to speak, that is a sales opportunity for us. And so we really, in a typical trade show, you may have a sales team staffing the booth. For the Education Expo, again, we strongly encourage and recommend that those operating the booths really be content experts versus sales and marketing professionals. And so when you input your application, which we will talk about here in a minute, and have the information and provide the information about your booths and your desires to display information and share knowledge with the educators. Your application will be approved based on that information with which you share with us at that point. And so when you receive an approval for your application, you are agreeing to discuss those products and services that were outlined in that acceptance letter. And so we just want to be sure that we're clear on that. This is really an opportunity, again, for you to share best practices, for your content experts to have deep and meaningful and relevant conversations with our attendees, and to articulate that through your application process. And then once you receive that approval, when you're at the Education Expo, those would be the things that you're moving forward and discussing when you're there on site with our attendees. And so when we think about the Education Expo for 2024, we just wanted to elevate the schedule here for your consideration. For those of you who just joined, please drop your name and affiliation in the chat. And so the schedule for the 2024 Expo, and this is again just a rough snapshot for you to get an overview of what you'd be applying for and stepping into. You would be setting up from 1 to 5 on May 27th, with the Expo running on the 28th and the 29th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so you may notice, if you've joined us in the past, that we have kind of expanded the Expo hours on that first day on the 28th. So the Expo will start a little bit before the opening session to give some dedicated time to the Expo before the opening session occurs. And so the 28th to 29th, 8 to 4, with a breakdown at 4 o'clock on the 29th. And so to that end, we ask that you are in place and ready to go by 8 a.m. on Tuesday the 28th, and that you are ready to tear down at 4 p.m. on the 29th. And again, we have that window to get things kind of cleaned up until 6 p.m. on the 29th. When you register and are accepted for the Expo, you are registered and accepted to have 2 participants to staff your booth. Those 2 persons will also be afforded the opportunity to join us for lunch on those 2 days, and to come in and have lunch with the attendees as part of your registration. Any other personnel that you want to have staffed in your booth will have to be registered separately as an add-on, again, once you're approved at the time of your registration. And so, again, we just want to elevate as you're planning, and part of this is to give you kind of a long runway to May to get that planning done for how you would staff your booth and participate in the Expo in 2024. And as you're planning for the booths, we just want to, again, elevate that the expectation is that your booth is attended at all times during those show hours that I just mentioned. So we don't want to have times with empty booths without representatives there, when we may have attendees who are coming to take advantage and learn all of the great information that you'll have to share with them. And so we do really emphasize that it is critical that your booth remains staffed throughout those show hours that we've elevated to you. And so to that end, if you are traveling with extra folks as representatives for your area, it usually makes it a little bit easier to staff things such as lunch, so that you can rotate, so that your booth is always staffed. Booth fees, so registration costs are pretty similar to past and what you may encountered in the past. So $1,000 for the booth. The nonprofits with a verifiable 501c3 receives that discounted rate of $750. All of the payment information and next steps will be communicated to you once you receive an approval to participate in the event. And just as a flag, and we will go over dates here in a few slides, that all payments must be received by March 1st of 2024. And so in terms of exhibitor outreach and marketing, we have opportunities and provide opportunities for networking and outreach that we do offer to our exhibitors. Once an exhibitor is approved, there are options that would allow you to qualify for a waiver of that booth fee, so 100% booth fee discount, if you choose to participate in one of those networking opportunities. And so that can take a number of, look like a number of different things, including some of the networking socials and sessions that may be provided a little bit after the conference concludes on one of those selected days. And so networking events are an opportunity for our exhibitors to, again, cultivate those relationships with our educators and to really do a little bit more meaningful outreach than you would have the opportunity to do in your booth. And if you choose to do that and communicate those plans to us, you would qualify for a 100% booth fee discount. And again, once you are approved, we will provide that information on those engagement opportunities as well. So this is a screenshot of some of the CVENT application screens that you will become familiar with as you are moving forward with the application process for this year. We will once again use CVENT for the 2024 Teacher Leader Summit. And so once the call is open, you will head over to CVENT and insert your information for consideration in terms of specifics around your application. So CVENT will be the platform that we use for that application process. And so when we're thinking about what makes a successful application and the reason why in this year going into 2024, we really wanted to be thoughtful about taking a step back. And before we open the call for applications for our exhibitors, that we were taking the time to have this webinar with you so that you really can hear from us regarding what we consider to be a successful application. As with any of these types of events, right, we wish that we could have every vendor and every partner who applied and who wants to join us to actually join us at Teacher Leader Summit in 2024. But the reality is we can't always do that, right? We have limited space and a limited time frame for our attendees to enjoy the expo. And so because of that, we did want to elevate just a little bit of information about what we consider when we think about a successful application. And so, as you can see on the screen, we strongly encourage organizations that are providing professional learning, vendors of texts of high quality curriculum, teacher and principal associations, arts organizations, educator preparation providers, and advocacy groups to apply for participation in the Expo. And specifically those that prioritize high quality professional learning cycles and the 3 essential professional learning structures that you see on your screen. So instructional leadership teams, teacher collaboration, and the career pipeline. And so we're thinking about what we want our educators to have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to network and to continue to develop in, right? This is what we're looking for when we think about, hey, what makes a successful application? And further, there are additional details. I'll stop here and just give you a heads up on that. There are additional details on the Teacher Leader Summit website. There's an exhibitor FAQ document that is listed there that has additional information to this end, especially when it comes to a successful application. And so for those organizations that may be considered as high quality curriculum providers, those applications are mostly evaluated on the presence in the professional development vendor guide, research and high needs are you reaching high need areas, supporting unfinished or virtual learning, and really your alignment with LDOE strategies and priorities for the event. And for our other partners, nonprofit organizations, largely those applications are evaluated on the support for implementing Louisiana's professional learning roadmap, which you also can find online through the LDOE website, the impact on Louisiana's educators and students and the alignment again to LDOE's strategies and the priorities of the event. And again, if you have questions regarding that, there is more information, as I mentioned, listed in that exhibitor FAQ document on the Teacher Leader Summit website. And so just a brief snapshot of the timeline for those of you who, after hearing all of that information, are still interested in participating and joining us. The application process and portal will open on January 5th. And so January 5th, you will see a link on the Teacher Leader Summit website that will take you to CVET and allow you to go ahead and insert information for your application for the 2024 Teacher Leader Summit. That application will close on February the 2nd, after which time we will go through a thorough review and analysis of all the applications received, and you will receive a decision via email around Valentine's Day on February 14th. From that point, as I mentioned a little earlier, payment is due in full by March 1st. That is also the last day if for whatever reason you would have to cancel your participation in the 2024 event. And March 1st will also be the day for those of you who are approved and who would like to take advantage of sponsoring a networking opportunity for our attendees. We would need that sponsorship information for those networking opportunities by March 1st as well. On May 3rd, we anticipate releasing all information about the Education Expo in CVET. You would also have the opportunity to jump on CVET at that time and set up kind of your virtual booth and your information about your organization directly on CVET. And then before we get to Teacher Leader Summit, as we did last year, we will communicate with you again on either May 6th at 10 a.m. or May 8th at 3 p.m. You can take whichever one will work best for your schedule. And we will have another webinar for those approved exhibitors just to give you a little bit more relevant and timely information, including details on parking and setup and check-in and registration and name badges, right? All of those things that you need to know before you get on the ground in New Orleans for the event, we will talk through on either May 6th or May 8th. And so that is really a snapshot of the timeline. So again, January 5th, once you get through the holidays and have a great time and are back and ready to rock for 2024, that application will be open right after the new year. And so that's really a quick snapshot of some of the things that we wanted to make sure that we elevate to you as you are considering participating in the 2024 Teacher Leader Summit. There are some links that have been added to the chat for you to grab the FAQ document and the teacher learning roadmap, I think there was dropped in. And so there are those links in the chat for you to grab. We've also included a website here, an email address here for you all if you have any questions following this call or when you get to the application process and have questions. And that is events@emergentmethod.com. I am going to stop and take a few questions, but I do want to elevate that for those of you who are considering presenting as well or applying to present as well. There is another webinar following this one at 11 o'clock Central, where we will really get into the presenter application and how we're looking at the presenter application process. And so I will stop there and see if there are any questions. Feel free to unmute or raise a hand or drop it in the chat. All right. Well, seeing that there are no questions, we'll stay on for a little bit. So if anybody has questions that they don't want to elevate to the entire group. Otherwise, we thank you for joining this morning and look forward to seeing you and to seeing your applications here for the 2024 Teacher Leader Summit. We do have our email address in the chat if you'd like to reach out to us with questions in the future. So thank you very much.